allow me to interject you.
Yeah.
Do you think that these politicians who have been in the Kenyan political radar for decades, for more than 10 years, are going to help the process of midwifing from ethnic-based maybe politics to agenda-based politics?
I doubt that they are going to be there because that is where they draw their power. You see, especially, let me use the example of the Building Bridges initiative. It was purely a tribal agenda.
Why tribal? Well, it's an honor you are tuned in. We are so much honored you are watching our show, Votes and Views, a show airing exclusively on zonknews, a space where political principles are punctuated in equal measures, a space where substantive matters of national and international interest are discussed. I'm your host, Collins Ngaira. Today, the subject of our discussion is wages of ethnic politics, wages of ethnicity in politics. Mr. Dek, thank you for creating time for zonknews and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
Great. So maybe just to let us started, we understand that it's already 7 months towards Kenya's next general election.
Yes.
And as it stands, we haven't done a thing from the 2017, from the 2013, from the 2007 ethnic alignment that almost tore this country apart. I mean, the mobilization of the people has been centered on ethnic politics. I mean, issues of good health, issues of unemployment, issues that really matter are only mentioned as at will, are only mentioned as a by the way. How many members of your ethnic extraction are you bringing to the political bargaining table is the green subject here. I mean, why this in Kenyan politics?
Well, first of all, I would like to specifically emphasize that ethnicity, and not even ethnicity, tribalism, that is the word. Tribalism is a major factor in Kenyan politics. Kenyans generally reason or have their political inclinations are tied to their ethnic backgrounds. So, and this is largely seen on how our politicians go around mobilizing votes and how they campaign. It is mostly based on regions, and that is how they're able to garner votes generally.
Allow me to get in. Do you mean that the problem is with the Kenyan leaders or the problem is with the electorate?
I think it's twofold, the electorate and the politicians. First of all, it's generational by virtue of our forefathers. They basically, they all rallied behind their tribal leaders. If you're a Kalenjin, for example, and you come from the hills of Nandi, and you have a very strong political proponent, you will definitely most likely rally behind them. So from that point of view to now how the politicians take advantage of that fact that Kenyans reason in ethnically, they now continue to emphasize and entrench this kind of thinking.
I've heard you speak of, rather I've heard you calling it a generational problem. I've heard you saying that it has been entrenched from the past generations. Maybe in the words of Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, who was the erstwhile president of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius said that it's not so logical for politicians to stand in a podium and start saying that, you know what, I'm a Kikuyu, you know what, vote me because you are a Kikuyu, I'm a Luo, vote me because you are a Luo, I'm a Haluya, I mean, I'm a Masai, I mean, I'm a Kisi, vote me because of my ethnic extraction. The bottom line is this. Do you think the current generation, the present generation, the latter day generation has already been contaminated beyond redemption, or we still have individuals in the current generation who can be able to do away, rather to sweep this ethnic mark?
I believe so, and especially what we currently call Generation Z, the Gen Z generation. I feel like they are the ones, actually maybe their children, the coming generation after Generation Z, they're the ones who maybe have the opportunity, because even currently in our generation, which is now the millennials basically, we are the ones who have, if you can see how we socialize generally, we don't really identify each other depending with regard to tribe and with regard to your political inclinations. People are intermarrying now. People are interrelating and intersocializing, not based on our tribal backgrounds, because previously our forefathers and our fathers taught us to you know, they're kind of of thinking and the kind of reasoning was purely based on tribalism and who comes from where, because that is where psychologically you'll get assistance. You know, the reasoning is that if your person is out there in a political position of power, automatically they're the ones who can help you. So that is the kind of reasoning that has been there. But right now, as the generations continue to evolve, our thinking has also moved from that kind of thinking. And I feel like there is hope going forward, not currently though.
Yeah, but you just said that it has already been instilled. I mean, it has already been installed in the latter day generation, so that, and what you are failing to understand is we already have politicians who are young enough, or maybe I'm not going to mention them here, but we have politicians, we have parliamentarians who are young enough, but from the outlook of everything is that they are still perpetuating this ghost of tribalism.
Yes, very much so, and I believe they are the ones who actually, they have the mantle currently, but you see, once it has been seen over time that once these young leaders that we suppose that will get in there and bring some form of development and empowering the youth, they go there and get lost into now the whole facade of power and money and corruption. So they end up losing focus from trying to disenfranchise the tribalism that has been entrenched in our political system.
Allow me get in from there. You see, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem that, of course, we must be able to sort it out.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we want to have a generation of leaders whereby they will be standing into a podium and speaking about their agenda. They will be standing into a podium and speaking about their plans and speaking about their policies. Not so long ago, we were able to see the ODM leader trying to call Kakamega Senator an Omondi.
Yes.
You know, by terming him as an Omondi is simply trying to push him to an ethnic inclination, and is now terming it as and is now terming himself as a national leader.
Yeah.
You know, he's now calling himself Cleophas Malala Omondi, and the other day when he was in Eldoret, he even gave himself another name, I don't know, Chepkoech or something. So
Chepkoech, yeah.
how are we going to get the solution to this? Because this already a young leader who is getting contaminated.
Yeah.
He's a leader that maybe in future we expect something positive from him.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you one thing, and this is what I've seen over time psychologically. These leaders know that the proletariat, the electorate, the common mwananchi, they reason by saying mtu wetu. So when you go there in Kalenjin land and call yourself Kipkoech, of course you will immediately you will relate to the common mwananchi immediately. So it is a form of psychological. It's a psychological tool that people use, that the politicians, and you see, it's something that we do not even have. We don't know as the electorate. So they'll continue using this tool to perpetuate their political agendas. So unfortunately, until the common mwananchi awakens from this kind of political enchantment or you know, it's kind of mind control, is when we can be able to evolve into a more progressive and inclusive society.
According to you, the problem squarely lies with the common mwananchi.
Yes.
Because as you are trying to put it, it's upon the politicians to be able to use it as an ingredient that will enable them, you know, maneuver around the wananchi, the electorate. The only way for a politician to be able to assemble maybe votes from the Luo region is by telling them that, you see what, I'm one of your own.
Exactly.
The only way a politician may be able to assemble maybe votes from the Kalenjin region is by telling them, you see what, I'm one of your own.
Yeah.
But now the problem that is here, soon as this individual is elected into public office,
Yes.
is not going to represent one of their own. He's going to represent the interest of the entire nation.
Yes.
So are you trying to put it that it's upon the wananchi to be able to understand that it's not upon their, it's not upon their tribal leanings, but it's upon them as a nation, it's upon us as a nation to be able to understand that at the end of the day, it's the politician who gains from divisive politics and divisive maybe tribal linings. Is that what you're trying to put?
Exactly. Until the common mwananchi is able to awaken from this kind of dilemma, is that we need to reason that the person who you put into office is the person who can only address your issues. So if you put somebody who has been thriving on abusing the other minority, or propagating kind of hate speech and this kind of hatred and non-inclusivity, that is when people will realize that this is not for their benefit. But the problem is we are so much into the clout, as in, it's like, have you ever seen like the way rallies are? They are like a flock of sheep, we are still so much inclined to that kind of reasoning, and I don't know, is it because of a majority of the population who are actually people who actually even go to vote are not they are non-educated, they are still unemployed, they are impoverished, so they are easily swayed by this kind of language, because the lack of democratic intelligence. If you are intelligent enough to understand that, and this, I think it comes through also education.
Do you think civic education can help in any way?
Civic education it has, let me tell you, education has a role. Even as much as it won't make you rich, it has a role into making you a normal, to bring you into society. Actually, education was supposed to, the main role of education was supposed to enable the child to be, it's like an initiation into society, so that you can be able to understand democracy, understand politics, understand the social economics, so that you can't just come and throw stones at your neighbor's house and burn the other house, knowing that that person has struggled to build that house just because you are propagating somebody's agenda. It doesn't make sense. So we are still far from it, but I feel that there is hope.
So you've spoken of, you feel there is hope. Yeah. However bad however pathetic the country might be contaminated with the ethnic mark, I also believe in the hope that you've said. I also believe we have voices of reason. But the question is, how are these voices going to be amplified? How are these voices going to be given oxygen so that the entire community can be able to understand, you know what, this is the right trajectory maybe to pursue? Yeah.
Well, I think it is upon the youth. I feel like it is happening, not even because of the sensitization, of which I feel like there is the need for sensitization, the role of the media, the role of print press, the role of the education, the institutions that we have, the role of our leaders in religious institutions, in financial institutions, in political institutions. We have a role, each and every one of us, to be able to enlighten the youth, because the upcoming youth, a child is innocent until you teach that child to hate somebody else. They'll hate that other person. So it is up to institutions and people in positions of power and influence to actually change this conversation. So there is hope. But this other generation, as you can see, they don't reason on those kind of ideals. They reason on the unity of thought, on like, oh, you guys, like, for example, if you like similar things, like it's football, in a bar, nobody cares if you're a Luo or a Luya. True. People are usually just cheering together in a stadium, in a club, in a book club, people nowadays do not reason it's going away slowly. But it's upon us now, and the youth, especially the leaders who are now the youth, which I've told you now the kind of dilemma that they encounter once they get into political office. But if it begins from the grassroots, because it is upon us at the grassroots level that we put those people in political office as youth leaders, so, expecting them to come back and assist us and empower us, the youth.
Okay, allow me to interject you.
Yeah.
Do you think that these politicians who have been in the Kenyan political radar for decades, for more than 10 years, are going to help the process of midwifing from ethnic-based, maybe politics, to agenda-based politics?
I doubt that they are going to midwife, because that is where they draw their power. You see, especially, let me use the example of the Building Bridges initiative. It was purely a tribal agenda.
Why tribal?
Because it was supposed to bring inclusivity. That was the main reason of BBI. It was supposed to bring inclusivity by those various positions of power, so that in each and every major or minor tribe or ethnic inclination will be included in one position or another, so that the people who are from at the grassroots, who are coming from where these people are coming from, will feel like they are included into.
But do you
politics.
think, excuse me, do you think the inclusivity, as you've drawn us back to the Building Bridges initiative, do you think the tribal inclusivity is the solution that Kenyans want?
I don't think that is what they need right now, but it needs to be uprooted completely. But right now, the conversation is different. People are completely reasoning based on their tribal backgrounds, because there's no way you'll go to, the day you'll somebody like Ruto will go to Kisumu and people actually and actually listening to him without vita and going on, like violence. Or likewise, if somebody like Baba will go to Eldoret and he receives a warm welcome, that is when we'll see some progress. We saw what happened in 2007, so we only hope that in the coming election, Kenyans will realize that fighting your neighbor based on, because now people have intermarried, people have settled in different areas where they're not coming from.
I don't know, according to you, what's the role of the media in taming or perpetuating tribal politics?
It depends on the kind of content they put out there, because like we saw in 2007, we literally saw propagation of hatred in the kind of content that was being put out there in the various major TV stations that were being aired. So it is upon the media stations, both print, both in broadcast, both in social media, to propagate conversations of peace and inclusivity. Conversations that if you fight your neighbor, at the end of the day, the elections will pass, these people will get into political office, and they're not even going to benefit. Because how many slums do we still see? And these same people have MPs there who they fought over. Can you imagine you fight over a political leader who at the end of the day doesn't come and bring progression? So people need to wake up and see what has fighting over the other person or because of somebody else who is inciting you, so that you can fight the other neighbor, so that they can win and empower themselves in political office. How will it benefit you? So the media stations need to bring kind of things by, even I think a main outlet would be even local programming, kind of in the television networks, in the kind of advertisements they put out. I think there needs to be like a complete campaign to just preach peace and unity and inclusivity.
That's important. But somebody would argue that, you see, as a nation, we are educated. I mean, we have so many graduates from, graduates from tertiary institutions.
Yeah.
We have so many graduates from polytechnic, so many graduates from colleges, so many graduates from universities, and also graduates even from high school. I mean, the question would be, how do these politicians manage to convince, these individuals into believing into their tribal linings instead of believing into agenda-based politics? Because we believe we are educated enough.
Well, unfortunately enough, the majority of the Kenyan population are actually not educated enough. I wish I had the exact statistic, but I was very shocked the other day to find out that a majority of people, yes, we are churning out thousands and thousands every day from tertiary institutions.
Yeah. We see graduates from universities, we see graduates from colleges, we see graduates from polytechnics all along.
But a large number of people are actually not educated. Either they do not have the opportunity, or they actually feel like that the opportunity has bypassed them. We still have a very big gap. So, and let me tell you also, education does not bring wisdom. Exactly. How many times do we see people from tertiary institutions throwing stones and burning vehicles, yet somebody is in fourth year? All this time, they have been learning, and the wisdom is still not there. So the wisdom also does not come through books.
Do you mean that class education cannot help us eradicate tribal politics?
It can assist in sensitization. Then from there, the general conversation needs to be of peace and inclusivity. Now through social media, through advertisement, local programming, a large number of people also watch these programs that are being acted, like, Tidy High. People really look at this, watch this kind of, and especially the young people. So we need to, if that conversation is there, and it has been there actually, they have tried, the media has tried to some extent, and at least there is hope for not going back to what was being propagated back in 2007, where literally politicians were using media outlets to spew hate on the other opposing divide. So hopefully we won't go back to that, but there is hope.
But somebody would also say, you see, to solve all this, I might call them shenanigans, to solve all these shenanigans in this case, we must be able to understand the root cause.
Yes.
Where did the rain start beating us?
I think it began from the advent of post-colonialization. After colonization is when now the African or the Kenyan mwananchi started to be empowered through now civilization. Now civilization started coming into Kenya, into the rural areas. Then we had the establishment of of urban centers, and now the common man was able to work and be empowered. And then now there was now a scramble for resources. The scramble for resources now came to, at what divide did you find yourself in? And we saw that one or two specific tribes found themselves grabbing most resources once the white man left Kenya. So once these people are the ones who had the opportunity and were at the forefront in getting access to these resources by virtue of the transition from the colonialists to them, because maybe they were friends or supporters of we know of those Kenyans who are the betrayers, those who supported the white colonialists. So they were able to get this access. So now over time, we have had these specific tribes having access to a majority of the resources. They are the more empowered. They now became the deep state. And the deep state now are the ones who now entrench this kind of tribalism, so that now you have to campaign in a certain area, and without you campaigning in that certain area, you will not get any votes for that particular tribe. You understand? But it is deeply entrenched in us. It is very obvious. Somebody will come here and say, who are you voting for? People automatically, me and you will be maybe on the opposite side, you know, by virtue of, if you look deeply, it is because of
ethnic extraction,
where you come from, who your father. If at home your father is always supporting a particular person, definitely you're going to, you know, there is that psychological kind of what is it called? Belief, and it's like mind control. It's both psychological, and because people don't know that subconsciously you'll follow what is popular from where you come from. If you know you're a villager, Ojai Toka, you've never left a village in for example in Kisii, in Yaribari Chache, and everybody there is talking about this particular leader. You want to tell me you have the knowledge to know that I don't need to support this guy, I can also support this guy. So it is psychological, and it is deeply entrenched, and it's historical. But there's a generational shift that is happening, and it is going to happen eventually, but not currently, not in the next generation, but maybe the subsequent generation from what we have now. But at least right now there's a paradigm shift generally. Yeah.
Wow, maybe Wakili, in the interest of time,
yes,
we understand that that on August 8th, rather yes, 9th, on August 9th, we are heading to polls. I don't know, maybe if you have any other thing that you may be able to tell Kenyans in your closing remarks, so that maybe they can be able to understand towards August, towards the 9th of August, A, B, and C, what we are supposed to do. Just facing the camera behind me, maybe any closing remark that you're able to tell Kenyans.
I would say Kenyans, as Kenyans, first of all, we need to awaken from this sort of psychological entrenchment of tribalism, and we need to move away from those kind of thinking, and that we need to realize that the inciting tribal leaders, or the leaders who are propagating these sort of conversations, will not be there. They are never there on the ground. At the ground, it is always the common mwananchi who is left struggling with their basic needs once all has gone to hell. You know, when people are burning each other's houses, when somebody is breaking into your shop, it is you alone who is going to garner those losses. So it is upon us Kenyans to wake up and be more inclusive. Do not reason on tribal lines. Reason based on principle and somebody's particular agenda. What are they bringing to the table? And I think from there we'll have a progressive conversation going forward.
Grateful. Yeah, indeed, it has been one of the frank, one of the vivid, one of the candid and biased political conversations right here on Zonk News. Remember to follow the talk bit by bit, blow by blow, through our social media platforms: Facebook, Zonk News, Twitter, Zonk News, Instagram, Zonk News, and forget you not to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Zonk News. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks, bro.
Great for having you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.